Welcome to Dopamine Fix Cinema, and today we are talking about The Ogre 2 and Ayo, my guy. What the freak was this movie? I Let me just get this out of the way. If you don't want any spoilers and just want the rating, I don't want to waste your time. This gets a 5 stars out of 10 on the Internet Movie Database. I'm not even gonna hold y'all. The Ogre 2 is kind of a mess, and trust I was not expecting this at all. I really thought it was cool that this IP was getting a second chance because, let's face facts, it's been a long time since the original Old Guard aired on Netflix, and I didn't even know originally that it was based on a comic book by Mr. Greg Rucka until after I watched the first film and started looking into it. So what I heard was the Old Guard film actually followed the comic book pretty closely, largely in part by the direct work with the creator, Mr. Greg Rucka. So, after watching this, I have to believe that there's some kind of ulterior motive, like maybe Rucka really wants the rights back to his IP and then take it to another service. Because when Netflix sees the reviews for this, I'm telling you, the word of mouth is not going to go the way they want. This is Netflix, y'all. The service that cancels actually good IPs that had compelling stories and fan bases that were craving more. And y'all give us this? Netflix be on some, well, this IP did really well and we'd love to work with y'all again. The creators asked for a bigger budget to go along with their success, and Netflix counters with, well, actually, we changed our mind. We good. We're just going to cancel this IP. This is that Netflix. So, I think the opening weekend numbers will probably be fine. With the long 3-day weekend, and the folks that saw the first film will jump at the chance to watch the sequel. Once the reviews start to flood in, though, it's a wrap, my guy. This is not the age of cliffhangers anymore. Making a movie intentionally to not tell the full story of the said movie is absolute villain work. Like, real talk, what kind of messed up cuckold mentality y'all walking into the writer's room with thinking, let's tease our fans and hope Netflix will give us a budget and time for a third film? This was it. Y'all were given the opportunity to grow the IP fan base and draw in new fans, and now we're walking away frustrated like after a 3-minute session. Miss me with all of this. This was such a letdown. Wanna know something else? It's not even just a cliffhanger of an ending either. This plot is rife with holes as well. Why is the CIA guy Copley going on missions with immortals? That takes away the whole point of this group dynamic. They don't have to worry about each other on a certain level. They're all very capable fighters and they can take an absurd amount of punishment. I'm looking at you, Andy. I know Charlize Theron is the star of this show and all, but she's lost her immortality in the first film, so play Overwatch and leave from the battlefield but at a safe distance, not right in the thick of things. Copley, you should be relegated to planning and being the point of contact person to the outside world. He should never be running around in the open with the field agents, aka the Immortals. He could head things up at a macro level at their lair and let Theron's Andy be the field leader in charge of the action on the ground. Highlights include the look into the past and building of the lore, except the Ogre 2 barely gives us anything, just snippets really. We're introduced to the supposed first immortal who goes by the name Discord and claims they have witnessed Jesus being crucified. So now we just take everyone's word when they say they are the first immortal, but fine. Uma Thurman's back in action swinging a sword, well, at least a little bit. We meet another immortal, Tua, and he ain't all about that fighting life. He wants to sit back and research and chart all the events that are happening with regards to the immortals, which is cool and all until for some reason he drops that and turns into just another soldier for like one action sequence and is quickly carted off. One thing about Tua though is that this guy has all the lore and theories about immortals. Tua gives Booker a tip explaining how immortals might become mortal again and how to possibly regain their immortality. They never share that information with the rest of the team though, especially the two that need to know it, like Andy and Niall. Mind you, this is after Booker makes a point of saying how being immortal let them put off talking to each other about the important things in life. That being granted a real death gives meaning to their life, and having an expiration date showcases the importance of telling people you care about the things that they need to be said. Then, Booker runs off into battle without explaining any of the crucial lore he's been told by Tua. Discord also explains to Niall that Discord was the first immortal and Niall will be the last immortal. They had the same birthmark linking the two. Niall is the destroyer and has the ability to remove the immortality of another by physically wounding them. So that begs the question, what is Discord's ability? Can she make people immortal? How were the immortals, including Discord, losing their abilities before Nile was even born? Also, Nile confronts Discord in a church, and the impression is given that they can't fight there, like Highlander's sacred ground lore or something. Did I miss that being explained in the first film? So many freaking plot holes that will probably never be answered. Another problem is Quinn. I really thought she was going to be our most compelling character. The trauma, the torture, the nightmare she suffered being stuck at the bottom of the ocean for so long and now free. What does Quinn do? Try to kill Andy. Like, why Sway? The person you love and fought with and lived hundreds of years with all of a sudden is a bad guy for not being able to find you at the bottom of the ocean? Humans have only just gotten the technology to kind of explore the bottom of the ocean within the last 100 years. That's not something Andy could have just done throughout history. The bottom of the ocean is effectively another world without technology. Actually, you know what? Let me think about this. I reckon Andy could have hired trawling vessels and dredged the bottom to try and find Quinn. According to Quinn, the area Andy would have needed to search would not have been that vast either because they didn't go that far out to sea, supposedly. Still, that wouldn't have been an easy task when it had occurred. But then again, they are immortal. Andy could have just came back in like 30 to 50 years after all the perpetrators had died and then came looking for Quinn as a treasure hunting type of exploration. Also, Andy could have hopped on her assassin bag and quietly killed everyone involved for what they did to Quinn. So I guess I do understand Quinn's frustrations, but at the end of the day, Andy wasn't the one who did this to her, so making Andy out to be the bad guy just seems hollow to me. Wait a second, I just thought about this. The Immortals know where each other are, right? Andy files Nile in the Old Guard because she's dreaming and sensing her, right? They figure out that she's in Afghanistan from the dreams, but there are multiple bases in Afghanistan, so it has to be more of a sensing thing. Also, Discord senses Tua and rolls up on him in his little hiding spot, and the same for finding Quinn. So yeah, they should always be able to find each other. Next up, the fight scenes. One thing this movie does well is the action sequences. It's all fun and very impactful. Everybody looks like they're being hurt. I think they took a weird tonal turn when one of the Immortals' fingers gets cut off, and they make a point to show him laughing as he reattaches the finger, and there's even a conversation that Booker's head was blown off by a cannon once upon a time, and then was reattached. Like they were going for some kind of Deadpool vibe. Was not really a fan of that at all. Also, in this film, it seems like the Immortals are barely even a secret anymore. I get it. Most of the people that deliver grievous wounds to our heroes ends up dead themselves, so there's no one to tell the tale. However, there are a ton of henchmen and witnesses throughout this film. No way someone isn't going back and talking, especially with Discord henchmen. All the fighting with swords and axes are pretty cool to watch as well. Gives a whole Highlander vibe that has to be part of why us fans are here in the first place, right? Lastly, before the final action sequence, the group is told that Discord took over a nuclear facility, not as some attempt at world domination. No. Discord has planted very specific shaped charges all over the nuclear facility so that when the Immortals arrive, it will disable them enough to be captured. So instead of staying home and doing nothing else, the group still decides to go to what they admitted was an obvious trap at the nuclear facility. Like, why? It's not like Discord is actually going to blow it up, because she has nothing to gain by doing that. It's only a ruse to try to capture the Immortals. There's no real disaster. They only even know that any of this is happening and that Discord is even responsible because of Copley's CIA connections. So if he just says nothing, this whole sequence never even occurs. Alright y'all, I'm done. This film is a decent watch, if for no other reason than action set pieces. Sadly, the IP went from something unique that I wanted to know more about to just about having me give up on a live action format. I think I'll just check out the comic books and learn more that way, which I think ultimately is what Greg Rucka's plan was all along, because I don't see how Netflix is going to grant a third film from this IP unless it was already filmed at the same time as the sequel was. Once again, I'm sad to say I'm giving this a 5 out of 10 stars on the Internet Movie Database rating. What did you think of this film? Have you read the comics? If so, is there a digital service you prefer to use aside from Comixology? Do you think Netflix is going to give this IP another film? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and tune in for more Dopamine Fix.